Support companies that help support the Stony Ridge Farm. Subscribe to the channel and contact Farm Fence Solutions for all of your fence building and tornado wire needs.
Hey folks, this is Josh, Stony Ridge Farmer. Welcome back to the farm. So we're just about done with our fencing job, and there'll be a whole lot of things for me to tie up, so more videos and stuff will trickle in as time goes on here. But we've got Luke with Farm Fence Solutions here. We're going to be strapping up this tornado wire, and if you look out through there, Luke, can you step back just a little bit? If you look out through there, this wire is laying on the ground, but it's already stretched tight. If you can see this. So it's basically tight as a tick all the way on the ground here across, and it's about a 693 foot run, and we're over like a hump. So in other words, it starts at a low spot down here and it ends at a low spot down here, and you can see all this wire on the ground. So we're going to show you quite a few things today. We're going to talk a little bit about knot tying, we're going to talk about running the high tensile electric line, and we're going to talk about how to get it up off the ground. There are places that are high and there are places that are low, and you'll get a whole lot more footage later on in a future video. But today we're going to go through, raise this up, tie some knots, and hang some high tensile. All right?
I'm Luke with Farm Fence Solutions, and today we're stretching some 134812 Titan fixed knot from tornado wire. Like Josh has already explained, we've got a low area at both ends of this stretch, so in the middle it's laid flat over this hump, and it's a bit of a challenge to get it stood up because it's so tight. So we're going to show you how we get that stood up and against a post and tie it off. So sometimes you've got to improvise just a little bit on the fence line, and so today we need a little bit of an extra boost. So Bart's got that rock there that he's going to sit that up on, maybe. Perfect. And I'll hold this up while Bart slides the neck clamp in. And for this we use a little bit cheaper version, not the strain right that we typically use. We're going to knock this rock out so that lays down flat. We'll poke our wedges in. Get it? Here, slide that to the center. For this, we're using a strain right boundary strainer. The way that strain right chain strainers work is they've got two jaws that ride over the chain links, and they just walk up. You can walk them down just the same, so if you needed to loosen it. Again, it's critical to keep that chain straight, and then once you've got it started, we just start walking.
So these are post ties. This is what we're going to tie this up on. Basically, this goes around the post. This is a medium tensile steel, and there is an attachment on the drill that goes over top of these, and you guys will get a whole lot more detail on that in future videos, because I have about 450,000 of these to put on once these guys leave. So I have these guys here for expertise, not for labor. So expertise is what I've got. So we're going to put these guys on here and hold this up, and then we'll move on down the line and we'll hang this fence all the way down the line. We'll show you the finished product. Pretty cool. Now I'm having to lean on this because this guy is so skinny that he doesn't have just enough weight to push this fence up. People make fun of the gut a whole lot of times, but I'm telling you right now, it's a lever. It's also a toolbox. In case you need to put, tools and stuff, you need to hold them up. You ever pick something up and you need more belly?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
A lot of times we need more belly to hold stuff up. That's it. Now Bart's got the rest. Toolbox, baby. Woo!
What we have here is a drill chuck for these post ties.
Okay.
You got the tie. It goes around your post. Make sure you get your wire in there, and then you just squeeze it together, stick it in, and then you hit the trigger and it twists and snaps the ties off. We're gonna go over the wire here around the pole, squeeze it together, stick it in the chuck, twist it off.
Drill chuck for the post ties is designed to break the tips off, and basically you've got a million little tiny trash cans all the way through here. We'll just drop the little wire pieces right down in the hole, and they'll be good to go. Now, we think about these pipes and this whole metal fence situation here. You could put post caps on each post, but you also got to think about the expansion and contraction, the moisture retention. So basically we'll leave these guys open to air. Whatever water falls in them will go down into the ground. If you put a cap on it, it's going to retain moisture, cause it to sweat, and cause it to rust in the inside over, I guess, a 60-year period. These are really, really stout posts, so they're not your average chain link fence posts. These are about twice as thick.
So what we're going to do now is pull the rest of this wire up on down the line. And because it's not quite as extreme as it was on that first pull up, we're going to use what we call a 502 strainer from Strain-Rite, available at Farm Fence Solutions. Again, you want to make sure that your chain is straight. These got rained on and slopped in the mud all day yesterday, so they could use a cleanup. And so what we're able to do there is turn this into a one-man job. A second man doesn't need to try to hold that up, which would be just about impossible anyhow. So anytime we pull up, we tie from the top down. And if we have to pull down, we tie from the bottom up.
So we got that roll of wire up off the ground, supported on the post, and now we're going to show you how we run a line of high tensile. And what we're going to do across the entire farm here is we're going to run a line of high tensile wire and put electricity to it to keep horses or cows off the top of the fence, and also to give us a termination point for when we start doing all of our cross fencing that's going to go through here. So we'll use temporary wire and we'll mob stock our livestock. In other words, we'll take our livestock and we'll put them on small paddocks of land and let them intensively graze that and move them on a daily or every 2-day basis. So right now he's dragging the line. This is a high tensile line. This is the roller right here. He's going to drag it all the way out to the end. We'll hang it in the insulators. You can hang it in the insulators after the fact if you want to, or you can just go on and hang them now. So we already have the insulators in place, but if we just wanted to string a high tensile line from one end to the other, we could put on our insulators after the fact. And we'll show you the insulators and how we terminate and what we're going to do. After the fact, we'll be digging trenches between these gates, between these holes, and we'll run the line, an insulated line, under the ground. You'll get to see that stuff in a future video after these guys leave.
Now it's up there where you can get a hold of it, see, and you're able to put your 6 tight wraps on it. If you just go a little bit past where you need to be, and if you wring that towards your wraps, it snaps right off. Again, that's very smooth where you don't get cut.
So what Bart's doing here is he's just laying it inside the insulator, and we'll move on to the next insulator. Pull it in, just lay it right in the insulator. Go all the way down the line. This is about a 550-foot line. I tell you what really pays off is having the people that have the knowledge to share this with me so that I can share it with you. Super duper cool. We're gonna go terminate this, we'll stretch it out and we'll terminate it.
What we've done is cut about a 3-foot piece of 12.5 gauge high tensile wire to make the tail that we'll tie our insulator off to. We're going to use a bullnose insulator to isolate the electric charge from the steel post. Here's a finished termination knot. It's the exact same thing we're going to tie up here. Start by going around the post, go under. You can tie this knot either way, right side up or upside down, it doesn't matter. So start by going under, then over, come under, kink your wire around just a little bit, and this is the part where you're going to slide it up tight to the post. You're going to take 1 lazy loop, which is a little bit of a long wrap, and then 2 tight wraps. With a little bit of a crank handle, right here we call this the crank, you're going to wring that wire off. Always wring back towards your coils. and it snaps right off. Again, that's nice and clean. It's not sharp at all. The next step is to put the bullnose insulator on. The easiest way to gauge your distance is to get a hold of it, get a hold of your tail, and run out to the end of your thumb. Put a bend in the wire. Then you slide your bullnose insulator on. We'll go 6 tight wraps. So we've got our bullnose insulator tied on, and we're ready to tie on our top line. First thing that we want to do is put our ratchet strainer on. This is a Strain-Rite XT1, and what I really like about these is you can thread your wire through it. So especially for a hot wire, there's no break in it. So this would still conduct electricity, but more efficiently if there's no cut in the wire. Now with that slid on, now it's time to attach our top line wire to our bullnose insulator. And it's going to be just the same as this. We're going to go 6 tight wraps. Again, we'll ring that off. What I really like about these XT1s, you can use an actual ratchet handle or a wrench, an adjustable wrench, a pair of pliers, whatever you need to do to make this work. Whatever you've got on the gator or in your pocket. We'll just put one more click on this, and that makes for a super clean straight wire.
So Luke here is going to teach us a little bit about knot tying on the fence here. We're going to tie a reef knot, a figure-8 knot, and a termination knot, and we're going to pull them tight, and we're going to show you a little bit about them. First of all, we're going to show you what a lot of non-professional type fence builders do. They do what's called a wrap knot, is that right?
That's not a knot, just wrapped, yep.
Just wrapped. So we'll show you that. We're actually going to put a wrap knot here, and we're going to put a termination knot on here, and we'll pull it tight and show you why that's not the way to do it.
What we'll do here is we'll just make about five wraps. I'm going to leave a tail on this so that you can see what happens once we put tension on it. We get a lot of people that say, oh, wrapping it's good enough. And I suppose it might be, but it's not the best way. It doesn't matter how many wraps you put on here. This is just for demonstration purposes. We're not building anything. We'll put a termination knot on this end. What we're going to do is stretch this tight between and see which one fails first. The tool we're using is a Strain-Rite chain strainer, same thing we used earlier. There's a lot of good ways to use this on a fence line. Great for more than one purpose. Excellent for pulling the four-wheeler out of the mud. All we do is walk these chain dogs straight up the chain. The wire gets tighter. I'll put some glasses on just in case. And Josh, what you're going to watch is that tail. What we're going to look for is to see if these wraps come undone under pressure. So as you can see, if we continued to pull on that, it would unwrap all the way. And you can take a look at this end and see that the termination knot is still just fine. That's why we don't use that as a termination knot.
So we have a termination knot on each end of this gate, and we're going to tie a figure-8 knot for you guys. Watch carefully. You can go back and watch this again and again if you want to learn it.
We're going to tie a figure-8, and here's how it starts. With the line wire to your right, we pull a loop overhand, feed the other line up through, and then we were going to put a kink in that wire, just like so. Come under, over, under on this side. Pull that nice and snug so that it matches this side. Take your slack out by hand. If you watch this knot, as we put tension on that, it'll come down tight. Now once we're to this point, we would wrap our tails. Just like so. And there's a finished figure 8 knot. The next knot we're going to tie is a reef knot. And the reef knot is also for joining wire that is not under tension. The first step in a reef knot is very similar to the figure 8. You just don't make a closed loop out of it. So we're going to make a U on this side, and we're going to make a U on this side. So we've got our 2 U's. We'll pass the right hand U into the left hand U, under to the right. We'll come over, and this tail is going to go over and through. Now it's ready to stretch tight. And again, we use our chain strainers from Strain-Rite. What I really like about these Strain-Rite strainers is they just last forever. They're tough, they get a hold very well. If you watch this knot as we come tight, this knot just continues to suck down. This is a knot that you have to babysit just a little as it comes tight. Very common for splicing barbed wire. That's just about it. That's all we're going to get out of that one. The last thing to do is finish it with tight wraps in either direction. And that's a completed reef knot.
Well, guys, I hope you learned a whole lot. Luke is just a fountain of knowledge, and Bart right here is a fountain of work. He's been working his butt off. He's a super clean guy. Guys, Luke's again is with Farm Fence Solutions. What's the phone number?
844-48-FENCE.
844-48-FENCE. Guys, thanks a lot for joining us here today on the Stony Ridge Farm. I hope you learned a lot. These guys are packing it up. They're leaving out tomorrow. We've had 6 days here on the farm building fences, and we're going to have probably 600 more days building fences. So expect lots more videos. This is all education for me and education for you. I hope you can appreciate it. Please pound that like button, subscribe to the channel if you're new here, and we'll see you next time on the Stony Ridge Farm. All right? Woo! Okay guys, so now what did we just get done doing? The next thing we're gonna do, first of all, we're gonna show you a lot of, I can't play my guitar without my guitar string. Woo! Woo!